What's up, guys? Welcome to Hop Nation TV. Mario Quick once again. It's been a long time, guys. Man, I miss y'all. So, I'm excited today because, man, I got one of the gods of hip hop productions. This is a legend in the making, you know what I'm saying? So, I don't even have to introduce him. You all know who he is. You all know what time it is, guys. His show. So, we got to put him in. Shout out to OG Nyambz. If I could put him in. Oh yeah, we got him. So, yeah, you should see. Yeah, you should
Am I audible?
Yeah. OG.
What's up?
What's up, man? Welcome to
Good, man. How
Publishing
are you?
TV. I'm
Thank
all
you.
good, and
Much
you?
appreciated. I'm good, thank you.
For sure, man.
Good
It's
to
an
be
honor.
here.
Yeah, it, it's been a long time.
Yeah, man. How are you keeping?
Yeah. I'm all good, and you?
Ah,
How's PTA?
it's good. Can't complain. Um, Everything is going the way it's supposed to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. One step at a time. But anyway, man, I just wanted to ask you, man. Let's start with your journey in hip hop. But how was it like? I mean, you growing up in Lusaka and then moving all the way
Sorry, sorry, growing up where?
growing up in Lusaka. How was it like?
In Lusaka.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't actually grow up there. Um,
Oh, okay.
I was born there, but no, I didn't grow up there.
Oh, okay.
Um, Most of my childhood was in like Swaziland and Eastern
Mm,
Cape, or Transkei at the time, and then Eastern Cape post 94,
mm,
then Free State High School. Yeah, then I've been in Pretoria pretty much. So yeah,
mm,
Lusaka. Yeah, I was born there, but I've never really. I don't recall spending time there.
mm.
Yeah. Mm. Yeah,
For
so
sure.
yeah, it's a weird one, but yeah, most of my early memories are from Swaziland and Eastern Cape, Mthatha.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
So how was actually like moving around, and it's mostly post 94.
Um, it was interesting, I think, because um, you get introduced to, I guess, different cultures, different people, different ways of life, and yeah, it's a bit harder to find roots because it's like you spend couple years here, couple years there. So at some point, you actually expect that you'll keep moving. So it's very
Yeah.
hard to actually like set roots because you are almost expecting at some point that maybe there might be another move or another shift of some kind. But I think it's always cool to like experience the different people out there, the different cultures, the different ways of doing things. And I think now, on my 40th year on the planet, all these pieces come together. Like you know, like how you exist, how you move is really based
Yeah,
on past experiences, past interactions with people. So yeah, it's a blessing, man. It's a blessing.
for sure.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your early days in hip hop. How did you start doing in hip hop?
Um, like as a fan, I would probably say maybe probably around grade 7, standard 5, um, standard 5, standard 6. I think that's when I started connecting more with hip hop because I think it was around. I had like older brothers, so they would like play stuff around me.
Yeah.
My brothers would listen to stuff like NWA and like NWA, Loonies, Snoop, like just whatever, but it wasn't something that I was actively paying attention to or listening to myself too much. I think I liked, I had like a different journey with music. I think it was probably closer to what my dad was playing. For example, he would play like a lot of like reggae stuff, a lot of like um, music from like the DRC, like rumba type of music, and so it was only probably around um, grade 7, standard 5, when I started like listening to hip hop and connecting with it. Like probably like the Lost Boys. They had, I think, the Love, Peace, and Happiness album. Wycliffe came up with the Carnival. Wu-Tang Forever, I think, had also come out. The Lyricist Lounge stuff was coming out. So that's kind of like when I started taking hip hop a little bit more seriously as a fan. From a production standpoint, because around that time, my late brother was in, I think he was in university first year, somewhere there. And they would talk about this guy's making beats and whatnot. And at the time, like especially as I was in Umtata at that time, and making music wasn't really like an accessible thing. So you almost think that you almost doubt everything. So I'd be fascinated and curious and wanting to see and wanting to meet these people who are making beats or stuff like that. I never really got the chance to. But then I had a friend, one of my closest friends, who had like a keyboard at some point, and then we'd start trying to recreate some songs. So, it was like a Casio type keyboard, so we like recreated like a Gangstar song. Can't remember what it was. This is probably like 1998. And then didn't really actually make another beat until maybe about 2001, thereabout. That's when I started trying to take it seriously. And then where we stayed in the Free State in Harry Smith, people weren't really too big on hip hop. And like there was one guy that moved in onto the street, Geketso's stage name was The Scepter. So he actually liked hip hop, and he was like an MC. So he was like writing, and that was motivation for me to do the beat thing, because I was always drawn into the beats. So and like at that time I was like I was really now into like the MC producer type of thing. So Gangstar, Pete Rock, and CL Smooth, all these like Common, a lot of his earlier stuff was produced by like No ID. So like I was already into that sort of thing. So it was a perfect opportunity. Like we lived like a couple houses apart. He rapped, I was interested in beats, so that's kind of like how it started. And yeah, I think it was pretty cool to do that, to connect and like and I think at the time we had like mutual, because like I think he was like a big Wu-Tang fan, so I was also like a Wu-Tang fan, but like I liked Gangstar and like other groups, Common, Rakim, what but we connected over the Wu-Tang stuff, and that was like a basis of like what we would start creating. And then that was like my grade 11, grade 12. I think that's when I started taking it a little bit more seriously. And then, after that, moved to university here in Pretoria, and connected with people here. And that's kind of like how the early start of the thing happened.
Wow. So with the DJing, was that before? Did you start with that one first, or did you start with the beat?
Um, I think it was definitely the producing first, but like I think at the time the DJing element. I mean, obviously being a Gangstar fan and like if you listen to even Common, like his first albums, DJ Sinister, Mr. Sinister would be scratching on like the first couple of albums quite on a lot of songs. Obviously Pete Rock and CL Smooth. Pete Rock, does some cutting here and there. EPMD, so like I always liked the that aspect of of hip hop, like the DJing aspect um, was always important. And then also just the growing up, we always, my dad would have like records and stuff like that. So, and also just for sampling. So yeah, LPs and turntables were always like a fixture for me. Yeah, at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. So like, you have like a crate of collections, like.
Yeah.
'Cause I
But
did.
I think
Yeah,
records are like so heavy as well. So I actually even gave away a lot of my collection, probably like the mid 2000s. And because
yeah,
like every time you move, you have to like carry these records that like they're so heavy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And as much as I love them, like um, yeah, I just I was okay to like let them go as well. Like yeah, and plus I gave them yeah, like I think the person that got them appreciated them more than I did as well. So they went to a good place. So that also helped. If I didn't think they were going to a good place, I would have held on to them. But like right now, I still collect, but only what I want. So like I'm not looking for. I think then I wanted as much as possible, and then like now it's kind of like I just want what I want. So if there's some LPs that I want, and then I'll go out for those. But I'm not fixated on having like 3,000 records anymore or anything like that. I just
Yeah.
I just want the ones that I want. So yeah.
Do you feel like maybe like some of the DJs find it difficult to transition into the new introduction of the.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
I was saying, do you feel like maybe a couple of DJs struggle to transition into the new introduction of technology in terms of the DJing or the introduction?
I don't think so. I think it's actually easier from that standpoint. So like I've had a couple of gigs in recent times, but like I haven't done any DJing for a long time, so I'm also not too familiar with how the equipment works. Fundamentally, they work the same. It's like if you have a controller, it'll essentially have or CDJs. It's essentially a turntable. It has the same sort of functionality, but just the how you manipulate it is just a little bit different. So I'll just need to spend time with it. But I think like having the background would be easier I think it's easier for an old school DJ to transition to the new than for a new school DJ to transition to the old way of doing things, because like like there are a lot of like things you can do on the fly with Serato or whatever it is that you're using. You can loop sections of a record or of a song. If you're trying to fade it in, you can just loop the 4 bars of the drums or the intro, whatever. Whereas if you're doing that sort of thing, if you weren't beat juggling, you'd maybe be getting like a, like tape. So you'd mark the section on the record with like a bit of sellotape or whatever it is, so that when the needle comes to that part of the song, it'll hit the tape and jump back. So you'll kind of have to like know these like intricate ways of having to do things with old school, because that's you had to find a way to do what you wanted. Whereas now with the new technology, guys are like, no, you don't have to do that. You can just select this, like you don't have to really beat match as much because the the software will they have like these like beat mapper wizards, so then they'll be able to check the tempo, so then you know that okay, this track is 94 beats per minute, this one is 96 beats per minute or whatever, and you can adjust it. In fact, you can even like do it itself. You can actually get it to so yeah, there are a lot of things that have been introduced to make the DJ experience easier. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of spending time and understanding like how that works. So for me, like I did a couple of events with CDJs, and then I've never really like used them before. So even like the feel of the platter is different. Like with a turntable, you can feel the record moving. With a CDJ, you can't really feel anything. So like those things are a little bit of an adjustment for me, but I don't spend time with that. I've never owned CDJs. The only times I've done that is literally getting on stage and saying, hey man, how does this thing work? And then actually which is not really the ideal place to try and experiment and learn something, because you're doing something live as it's happening. But I never felt like it's not something I could do, for example, whether it's using a controller or CDJs or your cell phone or whatever it is. Like fundamentally, they achieve the same thing. Yeah. So I think like the background that traditional DJs have would make it easier for them to transition into the new school.
For sure. So how do you speaking of DJing, what was your first experience like, being on the stage? And I mean, at the time, as you mentioned, hip hop wasn't that much of a popular genre of music.
Yeah. I think the first times would have been in Pretoria. Would have been like a club in Arcadia called Carnelita. It did have a bit of a hip hop vibe there. That's where I met Hakeem from Bafosa. There was some event that happened there the one time, and yeah, he was kind of like KRS-One type of figure at the time. Like he was very like hip hop in terms of how he was known on the streets, and battling and just being an MC. So yeah, there was a bit of a vibe there. Everything else was kind of like very quiet. It's like you'd have events, but like attendance wouldn't be like that great. So like a few venues, I think there was like Madame Guillotine in Hatfield. It would have been I forgot what the place was in Brooklyn. But yeah, there were a few places in Pretoria that we would do stuff, but like attendance was never like that great. But there were cool experiences. Like I said, there's no bad experiences. You have to go through that sort of thing. And even from a business perspective, you throw events, but you don't really know how to do it, because you spend a lot of time in the music, that when like promotion is a different skill set altogether. So and because hip hop was as small as you mentioned, like you end up having to wear all those hats. So like your producer becomes your recording engineer, becomes your mixing and mastering engineer. You do all these things because out of necessity, because you don't actually have people to do that. Where now you have like a bit more distinction, where there are people that are just promoters and promote events. You've got like booking agents. You've got a little bit more structure, where back then we didn't really have that. So you have these 5 areas that you're working on, but then because you don't have anybody else to do it, you end up doing those 5 things, and instead of doing 5 things at 100%, you're doing 5 things at 25 or 20% or whatever it is. So, and yeah, you essentially get out what you put in. So if you're putting in 20%, that's kind of like what's gonna come out. So yeah.
So, but how was it like also then performing on the
I think that's more for the MCs because the aside from doing some DJ stuff for like B-boys, I didn't really perform too much for for B-boys or MCs. I didn't really perform much as like as somebody that just went to play, for example. So the performance aspect would have been more for the rappers. I think for me, I'd always wanted to do more behind the scenes in terms of like that's where the excitement was, putting things together, putting albums together, putting opportunities together, putting on whether we're working on TV shows, whether we're working on radio shows. That was more interesting to me. I never had like an interest in performing. That was never really like even like now, like if I do it, it's really just out of like why not? But it's not really. I don't go to sleep thinking that I want to rock the stadium or I want to rock like. I don't have a desire to perform. Like I've never had like an itch. So I think the guys that you work with, like a lot of like the rappers, they want to perform. They have those dreams of like, I want to perform, and it's like okay, it's just I see it as one of the things that's part of what needs to happen, but it's not really something that I've seen myself as a part of. Like I enjoy making albums, making songs, and that's where my fulfillment is. Going to perform them is not really like I don't really have like a big interest in that. Yeah.
Well, for sure. But speaking of you making productions with artists, I mean, because you've done you've done cover, flow also, and many others. How is that skill set? And how did you meet the gym and also do artists?
I think it's networking, and also where I started making beats was in the Free State. So that was in a small town called Harrismith. So there wasn't really a hip hop scene there. So a lot of resources that were available in terms of like learning were like resources online. So I was part of a lot of like early because this was like 2000 2001, so the internet wasn't really like a thing for people. So like there were a lot of like before it became popular like it is today, there were a lot of like forums and websites like rapmusic.com, undergroundhiphop.com. I think there was even like local ones, but they didn't really have a forum element to it, like hiphop.co.za, Hip Hop Rush, or things like that. But like in terms of like my progress, I was more on the international stuff, and that's where I actually met a lot of like really cool producers like Illmind, M Phases, guys like Symbolic One were on these forums like back then. So by the time I actually moved to Gauteng after high school, a lot of like what I was measuring my production was against these guys who've actually gone on to like win like countless Grammys and things like that. So that was kind of like my yardstick to see where I was. And like when you have that network, that you kind of start speaking to those type of people and those those MCs around that time that are also gone on to be famous now. So you have that network of people globally that you've started interacting with. So when I moved to Gauteng, then it was just doing the same thing, networking with people here. So I had like a network of people overseas and a network of people that you meet on at university. Then you got you get beat CDs out. They circulate. Then next thing Squatter Campus got this beat CD. Then this one, here's this compilation. Then we did one compilation in Pretoria. Like there's a label that I joined, independent label called Fropic Records, and like we did like a couple of compilations, which, like, for example, the guys at Outrageous Records got their hands on at some point, and then they like the beats. Then it's kind of like we need some of these beats, Battle Cat and them were like, if we're doing Maximum Sentence, 2, then it's like Proverb, Urban Zabs, I think, was just finished Listener's Digest, and it's like, hey man, I want to do a remix of Superstar, because I think they had like sample clearance issues with Superstar, the original Superstar song that they had. But I think they got those cleared eventually, but they needed a second song just in case that didn't get over the line. So then that was like that introduction. Then obviously Proverb was like a member of Outrageous Records at the time. So then it's like, you need to work with this guy, and then next thing you know, from those type of like we those type of interactions, other people get to hear the stuff. Then next like I think Lyra had left 999, and then she's now looking for beats type of thing. And so it's just that sort of like thing. And I think back then, because we weren't even like emailing beats and stuff like that, it was before then, it was like beat CDs and stuff like that. So that's kind of like how that happened, with Pro Kid. I was in high school. I was a big fan of unreleased records, so Cashless Society and them. So I'd always because they would have like their phone numbers on the CDs and stuff, and they had a website with their phone numbers. So I'd always call every night, like every weekend or whatever. I'd if I had a phone card or and I'd always bug like Drastic and whatnot. So when I moved this side, I connected with them. And I think he had a relationship with Pro Kid's manager at the time. I think Sid Money was, or Sims. There was like some, so that's how that, connection came to be. And then, we're just doing a lot of work at the time, and the work was getting out, and people wanted to collaborate, and that's, we just made it happen. Just anybody that wanted would reach out, and we would get into studio. So that's kind of, it was quite, and I think at the time maybe there weren't as many producers as well. So I think maybe that also contributed to the amount of work that we were doing, because it was just I think there was a standard that we had now reached. So it was, I think I was up there, Battle Cat was up there, and Semitone. There were like guys that were like really coming out, because it was, I think a lot of people refer to it as the golden era of South African hip hop. But I think it's I don't know if it's because the music was great, but I think it was just because it was also contributing, because it was now the first commercial wave, in the sense that we were now getting albums out into market, and people were seeing what is possible. Like we were really like breaking. We're part of that era where people were breaking down doors. Squatter Camp got that Gallo deal. I think it was like 500K or something like that. So, it was now from being like this backpacker sub-genre cult of music into things are starting to happening. I think, what is it? Was it H2O? They had like the Gish video. It was like 100K or something like that. And so like all these things were happening at that time, like these firsts. So now we're getting these like first, big multi 100,000 rand, whatever record deal, 100,000 rand video. So I think when people talk about the golden era, I think it was just literally, that notorious big line. We never thought hip hop would make it this far, never get this far, take it this. It was like that stage where we're now starting to actually break the ceiling and see what's out there, and getting. So yeah, I think, and I think being one of the producers that was out there at the time was definitely a privilege.
Yeah. For sure. But so far, with looking at South African hip hop being 4 years old, do you think it's where it's the right ticket in terms of the development, with the and putting people getting the recognition that we deserve, and from a business perspective, feel like it's the pieces you guys are being rewarded well. And I mean, it's also other elements of hip hop, things like the people and the DJs and other, elements of hip hop. I feel like you've done enough to put on also on a business perspective, where also other elements can benefit as well.
It's a difficult question. I think recognition is always like tricky, because I think we all have different wants and different needs. People want different things. Some people are happy to do something for fun. Some people want to do it for money. Some people want to do it for fame. Some people want to do it for both. I think it really depends what you want to do as a person, and then you try and make that happen. I think there's sometimes an over-reliance on people expecting that something is gonna, like an industry is gonna give them something. That's not really how life works. You have to you have to put in the work and create your own opportunities. If something is not working for you, then change something. To try and get to the point where it works for you. If you want money and you're not making money, then you need to review your process and figure out, why am I not making money? Am I in the right place? Am I doing the right thing? That's like a very personal thing for everybody to actually answer. The same thing as, you could have like somebody that's like a chicken farmer, for example. If he's trying to achieve certain things in that space, they need to ask themselves, what is my product? Do people want my product? Is my product speaking to the market? Is it in the right place? What is, I'm on time? What other the issues? Is the issue my sales? Is it my production? You have to really unpack what it is that is preventing you from achieving your result. I think the power is really in our hands to pretty much create the situation that we want for ourselves. And if you don't do that, nobody's going to do it for you. So I don't think hip hop owes me anything. I don't think an industry owes me anything. I think it's up to me to go and if I want something from that industry, I need to put in the work and contribute to that industry in a way that creates a value that can get translated back in the manner that I want. You have to also add that value. If you're not going to add that value, then it's not, if you want to make a song that only you and your friends are going to like, then, you can't expect that people are going to, that you can't expect a monetary return. You need to find a way to, and I'm not saying that people must jump on whatever bandwagon, whatever. You need to be able to really define what your market is, define what your goals and objectives are, and actually try and make sure you put in the right work to achieve a result. And I think we don't do that enough. I think sometimes people think that I'm dope, and that's where it ends. And now something should magically happen to translate into an outcome. It doesn't really work that way. You have to really, you have to take responsibility for your goals and objectives and bring them to life however you need to. Yeah.
So with I mean, currently, I realize that you've done some music with Melly Mel. I think it's a Reaper, and also, you know, with Fab also. I mean, he's been quiet for a while, and he could have beat for him a power.
Yeah.
The songs are amazing. I mean, just tell us what are your thoughts on it, and how did you guys decide to go back to doing the music?
So so I think that's I think the beauty, but I think it's also subjective. Like us, like, you know, as a musician, sometimes you might you might have your head in the sand, and you might have an overinflated opinion of yourself and your music. But I think the fact that we have always created what we've wanted to create, that sometimes it's not really defined to a particular time. You know, so for example, if trap is popping or drill is popping, for example, and you try and do that, that's kind of limited to that time frame. So if you want to now drop a drill song or trap song in 2025, if trap or drill is not the thing, then it kind of sounds a bit dated maybe. So I think when we've tried to make music, it's kind of been independent of what's going on around us. It's kind of like what we are just making for the sake of the song that we're trying to make at that time. So, you know, you're asking like what, you know, Zab's, you know, been away for a long time, what, you know, made us decide to come back. So the stuff that we're releasing now for, as they pertain to Zab's, was pretty much recorded 11 years ago. These are not new songs. This is like a project we started in 2013 and finished majority of it in 2013. There might have been one or two new songs here and there. In fact, no. I think everything was finished. It was recorded in 2013 in like a 2-week period, a 2 or 3 week period. So it's literally now just us just putting out the music. We've like adjusted a few of the beats. I've worked with Rizla, producer Ray Rizla, Rejazz, because he's got a band called The Rim. So like there's certain songs where we've just asked him to come in and, you know, just tighten up the production, where it's, you know, like get the band in to like replay certain things and add additional production here just to beef up the sound a little bit. But the songs essentially were done 10, 11 years ago for this Subs project. And similarly with Melly Mel, that project was actually a mistake. It wasn't planned. Well, at least from my perspective, I don't even know if he's aware of it, but how that came to be was, at the time I had like a partnership in a studio here in Pretoria, the library somewhere, and there were times where so it was like a partnership between the library somewhere and my company, the studio next door, and there were a few projects that I would be doing where some guys would need somebody to come into studio and film stuff, or, you know, do like EPKs or whatever it was. And Melly Mel, he shoots and edits, you know, like, so he's got that visual background. So I saw a gap in the business with the studio next door, where I was like, okay, a lot of these clients are asking people, every time they come, they're like, can somebody come and film? Can somebody come in? So I was speaking to Mel about, okay, let's collaborate type of thing. And, because he does the visual stuff and, we're doing like the audio stuff at the studio. So I'd always, we'd talk about doing this collaboration. And eventually when we sat down to actually to talk about the collaboration, I saw that we were not on the same page, because I was talking about the visual aspect and the studio, and he was thinking about an album and music. And I was like, oh crap, we're not on the same page. And at the time, I wasn't making beats or anything. So I don't know. This is maybe around 2019. So I was like, okay. So eventually I was like, normally I'd have just said no, whatever. But I was like, okay, cool, let's do it, whatever. So I just agreed. I went with the misunderstanding. And then when we actually started working was just before lockdown, like just before the beginning of 2020, season 1 of lockdown. That's when we started working on the project. So I told him, I think I told that, look, let's just do one song, and then if it pops off, then we'll do more. And yeah, and funny enough, we actually the approach for the album was similar to my approach with my first album that I worked on with the guy in the Free State, Harry Smith, with Keketo, the Scepter, where what we would do is would come up with the album title, and then would come up with he'd give me the track listing, and then I'd make the beat to that, which was weird because that's how I started making music 21 years ago, whatever. No, it's actually more. Geez, 23 years, 24 years ago, whatever it is. And then later on, I found out that that's the same way that Gangstar, DJ Premier, and Guru used to make albums. And so I thought that was actually quite cool. That like that without copying, like the way that we approached it was similar to guys that we idolized approached it. So when we did the same with Melly Mel, it was the same thing where we like came up with, this is the album title, here are the tracks. And then I thought, okay, cool. Let me do an album the exact same way as when I started. So it felt like, because I think at the time it was coming on 20 years. So I was like, okay, I think that's like a good way to do it. The same, to go back to the beginning and do it like the beginning. So that's what we did, and we recorded the bulk of the project we did in 2020. The Reefer, funny enough, was not the first song we completed, but that was the first track I made. So I made the track for Reefer, sent it to him. Then he sent a chorus idea, and I was like, okay, cool. I love it. It's cool. Which is weird because like I don't smoke. I've never smoked or anything like that, like weed or anything. So it was an interesting song, but I was like, you know what? It's a collaboration. Like, it's a part of him. It's a part of me. Smoking was what, a part of him. We're collaborating, so it's fine. I'm okay with it. And then I sent him a couple of other beats. Then he came back with another song complete. And then he did the Reefer, I think, second, like completed it, because he started with the hook, but then he didn't finish the verses until like a bit later. So it was probably the second song completed, but it was the first song we started. So it set the tone. We really liked it. Yeah, we released it, when is it? December last year, actually on Melly Mel's birthday, like the 29th or something of December. And but we started it 3 years before, so 2020 is when that album is done. So the Zab's album is coming out this year, and the Melly Mel album is coming out this year. Yeah, so yeah, that's what we're doing. And With Mizzy, we've got it's not really a record label, but it's like it's like a home for music. I don't know. Maybe that is a record label. I don't know, but it's called Polymath, and that's where we released the Reefer and the Zab song, and they've done quite well on that front. I think we're sitting on about over 50,000 views for both combined, which is a little bit more than we would have expected. Streams are still a little bit like lowish, but we haven't really like done too much promotion on that side. The Reefer, I think some people say they've seen it on Trace. I saw it the one time, so I think it's pretty cool. Like that the stuff is getting out there. So what we wanted to do with this stuff is like just put out music for people that are just that'll appreciate it. So that people that are looking for an alternative to what's out there. I'd have loved to release more music by now, but that's not really what is on the cards. So I'm also patient with that. But like the Melly Mel album's definitely coming out this year. Zab's album's coming out this year, and there'll be a few other releases. So yeah, Polymath Works is definitely gonna put out a lot more music. So yeah, stay tuned.
I'm looking forward to that. I don't know.
Yeah.
These guys are like amazing, even you as well. But for many young cats out there that are planning to be beat makers and producers, what do you think would be advice to them?
Like advice to producers for?
What would be advice to young people that are planning on becoming producers that look up to you?
I don't think there are any young people that would look up to me because everybody that would look up to me is grown now. So by now, maybe but I think anybody that's wants to do something or come into this space, yeah, they should just have like a love and a passion for it. I think that helps. Not to have any expectations in terms of what is owed to you, like to really just be at all times have your eye on your prize and see yourself as a tool to achieving what it is that you want. I think a lot of guys end up getting very bitter and very sad and angry because they have an expectation that certain things will happen a certain way. But nobody really owes you anything in this world, in this life. So I think it's really just up to you to like be very clear about what you want to get out of something and actually really just position yourself and put in the work to do that. And you have to put in the work. The same way if you look at like guys like even like look at soccer, you look at Messi, you look at Ronaldo, guys like that, like yeah, there's an element of talent, and yes, they which is a big contributor, but there's the hard work that is involved, and they all have something that's very unique about them, and I think that this type of industry is always looking for something different. Like people get, especially now, the attention spans that are quite short. If you can find a way to separate yourself from the pack, it'll do you well, and I think that was what also contributed to the Amapiano success, because then there was different sound that separated itself from like in terms of what Africa was putting out to the world. Afrobeat for a long time was probably the premier export, and then Amapiano came with a different vibe, different rhythm, different style that people like connected to. This Tyler lady, she came up with something that people aren't really quite used to hearing. So yeah, I think if you have like a unique offering, that'll definitely serve you quite well in terms of progressing your career. Yeah, I mean, you can also do it being, following being a sheep following the masses, because there are people that actually do that. I know a lot of like really like talented people, but that make a living off just um, doing what people want, which is like similar to what else is out there. So I mean, like, there is room for that. But then if that is they're very clear that we are here to make money and this is how we make money. So that sits well with them, because I'm doing this, I'm making cover instrumentals for karaoke, I'm doing production for ads, because ads will tell you sometimes remake Cool and the Gang's whatever song, but then you just replay it, change a few notes so that but it's just enough for people can hear that it's the same song as that, but then like change enough that there's no legal implication or whatever. So those guys have like a clear objective of what they want out of the music business or whatever. So as a producer, yeah, that be clear what you want, see yourself as a means to achieving it, and yeah, just not expecting that you are owed anything by anybody. Like um you are literally the key to whatever it is that you want out of it. Yeah.
For sure, for sure, for
I would
sure.
say.
Also, yeah, before you leave us, man, can you please give us maybe a couple of okay, social media links that we can reach out to you in case that maybe that people are watching or might be business with you or might be
Okay.
interested. Yeah,
Sure. I think Instagram probably at Nyambino.
yeah,
Um, and then my name everywhere else. Twitter's like at Inyambo. What you call Facebook, if people are still on there, it's my name Inyambo Imenda. Like literally, like nothing fancy, quite straightforward. I'm the easiest person to to
yeah,
reach if you want to get me.
yeah, true, 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 true. I'm a witness to that.
Or
Yeah, for sure. But also, what, man, I appreciate you so much for giving me the time, to interview you and learn so much from you guys,
no,
because some of us once there during the, early 90s, so it's kind of nice to know, the history of the movement. And shout out to you. Yeah, I'm hoping when the albums come, we could have more interviews, with
no,
more with jobs and maybe more
yeah,
long-term.
no, I would love to, man. Would definitely
Yeah,
love to do it with Zubs and Missy, and with Melly Mel. Like, yeah. So whenever you're down, yeah, just we can set it up. And yeah, big ups for the opportunity, big ups for the platform. I think like what you've been doing. Um, um, it's quite cool. I know you've been like doing a lot of like local and international interviews, and like
yeah,
it's pretty cool, man. Like I think like I said earlier, like when we started, we didn't really have like a lot of distinction in terms of like what people could do. We didn't have a lot of promoters, a lot of like radio DJs and things like that. And I feel like
yeah,
definitely doing your bit to get certain messages and getting certain stories out. And I think that's like very cool. And like, yeah, I think we need more guys like that, like, you know, like you out there pouring back into the culture. So yeah, big ups, Hip Hop Nation TV.
Okay, thank you so much, Uchi. I appreciate it, man. I don't know, maybe I'll try and come, to the next show. So maybe that would be much better, and have all of you guys and just have a
Yeah,
conversation and
no, that'll be lovely, man. Like whatever you want to do, we can make happen.
for sure, for sure. But Uchi, man, much love, blessings, all the best with the current work.
No, thank you.
So, are there any events that you should look out on? Maybe you're probably gonna do.
Um, I don't know. That's a very good question. Not that I can think of. But if anything does pop out, I'll definitely message you. And then you can
Yeah.
probably share it, whatever. But
Okay.
as things stand, we take it day by day, hour by hour.
Alright. Alright. Peace. 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 Uchi, much love, man. I appreciate it.
Thank you, buddy.
Peace.
Peace.
Alright. Guys, another interview as well. We never disappoint. We never disappoint. Hip Hop Nation TV. Shout out to the OG man. I've been planning this interview for so long, but what to say, you see, big things take time and a lot of patience. But I hope you guys enjoyed this interview. Yeah, shout out to everyone that's been watching. Yeah, guys, catch me on Instagram, Hip Hop Nation TV, Facebook, Hip Hop Nation TV. We're on YouTube, Hip Hop Nation TV. Yo, we on Buzzsprout too, so yeah, watch out for this interview that's going to be on audio format as well. So yeah, so you guys have all options, guys, just to check it out in Buzzsprout and Spotify and other platforms as well. But anyway, peace, I'm out, guys. So easy.